John F. Kennedy was born May 29, 1917. He attended Harvard University and later went into the Navy. In 1943, his PT boat was rammed and sunk by a Japanese destroyer. Kennedy, despite grave injuries, left the survivors through perilous waters to safety. He married Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy on September 12, 1953. John F. Kennedy won a Pulitzer Prize in 1955 while he was recuperating from back surgery. He wrote Profiles in Courage. John F. Kennedy became the youngest president. He said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." On November 22, 1963, when he was hardly past his first 1,000 days in office, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was killed by an assassin's bullet as his motorcade wound through Dallas, Texas. Kennedy was the youngest man ever elected president. He was also the youngest man to die. On November 24th, another man, Jack Ruby, shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald, thus silencing the only person who could have offered more information about this tragic event. Vice President Lyndon Baines Johnson grew tired of being the number 2 man, so he devised a scheme to kill the president. Another theory is that the president was about to announce numerous UFO sightings, and it was really secret military aircraft, so they had him killed. A third theory is that Joe DiMaggio, the baseball player, was jealous, and he did not like Marilyn Monroe's attraction to the president, so Joe DiMaggio had him killed. Another theory is that Governor John Connally had been the Secretary of the Navy, and he had signed a letter for Lee Harvey Oswald to be dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps. Oswald held a grudge. He was really aiming for Governor Connally and got the president instead. This was actually suggested to the Warren Commission. Finally, Kennedy plotted the assassination himself, as he was ailing from Addison's disease, which is a rare hormonal disorder, and he wanted to secure his place in history, so he had his own self killed. The first theory is called the lone gunman theory, and that is that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone when he shot JFK from the 6th floor book depository window. He was supposedly an excellent marksman, and the shots would be no problem for him to make. However, with this lone gunman theory is the magic bullet theory, and this was actually presented by Dr. Cyril Weck. He was a forensic pathologist, and this is what he said about the magic bullet theory. "Think of this documentary as a trial," he said. "Did the second bullet fired from a 6th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository in Dallas, Texas on November 22, 1963, it would have entered President Kennedy's back, exit through his neck, stop in midair, and come back 18 to 20 inches. Where it would hit Governor Connally behind the right armpit, pierce his lung and break a rib and exit his body. Then it would swing up and around and hit him in the back of the right wrist, exit his right wrist, and then hit his thigh, and then fall onto a stretcher only to be found." Well, that was his theory, but then further evidence shows that some parts of this bullet idea could be possible, if you can believe it. The second theory is a conspiracy theory. And this right here is evidenced by the Zapruder film. It's just 26 seconds in length, and it shows the timeline of the president's murder. It shows that there were 3 shots coming from different directions. As soon as there are different directions, that means that there were different gunmen. As soon as there are different gunmen, then it discredits the lone gunman theory, and thus a conspiracy could have taken place. There are several things that still remain a mystery. The Warren Commission put out an incredibly lengthy report, something like 10 million words. It was not easy reading, but it made the whole ordeal seem like it was clear-cut and easily closed. They quickly dismissed any possibility of a conspiracy. Lee Harvey Oswald. Many odd events took place in Dallas prior to the assassination. For example, he was hanging around a rifle range. He was having his gun repaired at a gunsmith. He was making a scene in a gun shop, firing shots on some lady's property and leaving behind the exact same gun cartridge that was then found in the book depository. History shows that if someone or groups act politically, they often claim responsibility. But Oswald protected his innocence and that he was framed from the beginning. In fact, he stated, "I am just a patsy," and he was killed before he was able to say anything else other than that he was a patsy in the whole ordeal. We will never know this whole story because he was so quickly silenced by Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby. He had mafia connections. Is it coincidental that he is the one who gunned down Oswald? The dictabelt shows that there were 4 different recordings of shots fired. If this is the case, then how did we only have 3 gunshots from Lee Harvey Oswald's gun? There were 51 witnesses saying that they saw shots fired from the grassy knoll. In my opinion, the lone gunman theory is a complete cover-up. It's easy to pin it on one person and distract people from looking elsewhere. It just seems too easy. I think it's a conspiracy of some kind. The Zapruder film and multiple bullet wounds helps to support this theory. I think there are too many secrets and too many controversial and volatile issues that President Kennedy was involved in. On November 24th, another man, Jack Ruby, shot and killed Oswald, thus silencing the only person who could have offered more information about this tragic event.